Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and welcome. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. So the thing that I want to talk to you about tonight, I have been kind of hinting at this, and there's been a slow progression for me in terms of trying to understand. And for weeks now, I've been saying that it is as if my body knew something, and my mind is refusing to accept it. And as an intuitive, a psychic, as someone who is sensitive to energy, and many of you are also, there are certain things that your body understands, but you cannot put words to it. You cannot articulate it in a way that makes sense. What I want to talk about today has to do with the nature of understanding or perceiving the future. Because I am picking up stuff, I am sensing stuff, and a lot of time, the responsibility of sharing with my community, with all of you, about information that may be catastrophic in the 3D perception in appearance, that will cause many people to fear that it's fear mongering, but in fact, are actual predictions. And I want to lay this out, and I want to talk about it in greater details, because I want to make you understand this. So the way, and in the channeling that I recently did of the Galactic Region Council about prediction for 2022, they explain what they are looking at by saying basically what they are looking at is potential for manifestation. Because when you're looking at the future, you don't see, and if you're neutral enough, you don't see just one possibility. You see an array of possibilities that could happen, the same way you would see a beam of light that would get fractures and bifurcate into multiple rays if it were to go to a prism. And these, as it spreads to the prism, you are able to see different potentiality, different way in which this one event, one circumstance, one action that you're doing now, or one inaction, because sometimes it's inaction, something that you're not doing, will lead into, consequently, an array of possibilities. Let me also say here that when you're looking at the future, and it took years of training for me to formulate and to articulate this, because initially it's something that you know in your body intuitively, and it's very hard to explain. It took me years to try to explain what I'm trying to explain to you. So when this array opens up in front of you, you have to understand that there are two things that you're looking at, two very distinct and separate things. One is potential for manifestation, which are what I call generally predictions. Let's say, for example, you have, somebody's telling you, like you go to a reading for a psychic, and the psychic is telling you, I see a new partner in your life. I see you meeting up with somebody, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. It is a potential for manifestation. But in order for that to show up, you yourself from this point forward, until this event occurs, have to take action, because you cannot sit in your apartment and hope that this partner will materialize into your living room. This is not the way it works. In other words, you have to take action by going out, by meeting with friends, by socializing, by going out in the street, but by being out to allow whatever that potential partner is to actually cross your path. And I'm using a very trite and very simple example to explain this. So depending on whether you sit sequestered in your apartment and you don't go out, or you decide, I'm going to socialize, I'm going to put myself out there. And as you socialize, eventually you meet with 1, 2, or 3 people, and all of a sudden something solid gets created out of this. This is the way the future begin to focus. And if you take the proper action, that prediction beyond a certain point becomes no longer a prediction. It becomes what I call an omen, which is a future that's already decided. It's something that nothing can stop. Okay, it's a point of focus where it's already decided and nothing can stop it. Now, as a healer, as somebody that's trying to teach people spiritual psychology, emotional intelligence, and all that, predictions are things that I actually like, because sometimes the potential for future may not be so rosy. It may be kind of uncomfortable. There might be strong lessons. There might be things that are not favorable. And I can advise clients, students, if you were to change this factor or that factor, if you were to, don't do this, the X, Y, Z, or the other, you're gonna now, because it's an array of possibility, there are other selection in the spectrum, in the fan that open up, that you can select. And you can manifest something else, because that future has not been decided yet. I hope I'm making sense so far. And it's important for us to understand this, because it will help, giving the fact that a lot of predictions, a lot of stuff, and there's so much turbulence and so many events that look at what just happened with the tornadoes in the 6 Midwestern states. There's a lot of stuff that are happening out there that are very catastrophic and that seems quite a bit unfair, that can be explained, not completely, but it can help you understand when somebody like me is making a prediction and saying some of these things. It may help frame where this person is coming from. I want to go deep into the explanation. So, so when the perception shows up as a prediction, this is my domain. I love it. I can sit in it. I can help the client figure out. There are 3 possibilities I see in the horizon, 4 different things, choices that you can make. You can do this, X, that, or the other. If you do X, this factor, this is where this is going to lead you. And when the future finally goes, when the horizon goes from being a prediction, a choice that you've made by saying, okay, these are the predictions, and then I have 4 choices. I'm not going to select the first one, the second one. I'm going to select the third one, and I'm going to leave all the other one behind, because of all the choices that my intuitive has told me, this is the one that I found to be the most favorable for me. I'm going to choose this, and I have to take these actions, and I take these actions, and what eventually happens, it creates, after a while, because of the actions taken or inactions, it takes a wave, it creates a wave function collapse. It becomes so focused because of your intent and your action. You become so, because we are co-creative principle, we become so focused in making sure that this manifests, and we end up having a singularity of focus. And when that happens, it now becomes an omen. It's a future that's decided. Nothing can stop it. Okay? Now, as a reader, as a seer, the part that's very uncomfortable for me is when I perceive omens that are catastrophic for a client, or when I perceive it when they are catastrophic for humanity. And I'm going to give you example of both. Real example. years ago, and this is one of the reasons why I don't read the tarot anymore, because when I used to read the tarot, it was an inspection in vivo. If you had business you're trying to hide, you don't want me to see, don't ask me to read the tarot for you, because I will see it, everything will show up. So I was reading for this client of mine. I know her very well, she's Swiss. I've been to visited her about 2 or 3 times in Switzerland. I know her family, I know her mom, I know her sister, her sister's boyfriend. I know the whole family. I know them very well. And so I'm reading for her. And at some point, and the last cut is a 12-month cut, 3 cards for each month. And it's sometime to the date, I will tell you, because I'm channeling this, to the date I will tell you on such and such date, this is what's going to happen. So I'm going through this, and it was at the beginning of the reading, maybe the first month from where we were. All of a sudden, I'm like, no. I begin to see these violent, bloody scenes. And I pushed the card aside. I said, I'm not doing this. And I was shaking. What the matter? What did you see? I don't want to see it. I got up. I was shaking. She's trying to calm me down. Pierre, are you okay? I'm like, I don't want to see this. And I folded the card. I said, I'm not doing the reading. I'm not doing it. What's wrong? What's the matter? After we spoke, after I calmed down, she says to me, what did you see? I said, I'm not sure if what I saw, it's not for you directly, but it's either you or your mother. It's either your sister or your mother, but it might be related to your sister's husband. I said, I can't look at it because what I'm seeing is so violent, I cannot accept it. And I'm going to take a small parenthesis to explain. There's a scene from the movie The Matrix, the second Matrix movie, when Neo is in a basketball court talking to the Oracle. And as the conversation continues, Neo is asking about seeing the future. And the Oracle says, you didn't come here to decide, to make a choice. You've already made the choice. You came here to understand the choice that you made, which is a big aha moment for him. And then the Oracle went further to explain to him. He asked another question, and the Oracle says, no one, Neo, not even I, can understand a choice that I am not ready to accept. And in this instance, and this is way before the Matrix movie when this occurred to me, whatever I was perceiving, I was not prepared to accept it because it was too violent. And I knew it was an omen, and I knew there was nothing I could do about it. Then she begged me, is there anything that can be done? I said, it's grave danger. I said, I don't know. And the Archangel Michael prayer that I sent to all of you, I said, why don't you say this Archangel Michael prayer? By the way, Esther, you might want to say that for your sister as well, the Archangel Michael prayer, both you and Esther. Just occurred to me. And so the Archangel Michael prayer that that we're all, I said, why don't you say it? And she started saying it. 4 days into the prayer, she called me. She said, Pierre, you never believe what happened. I said, what happened? I know her sister and her boyfriend, they have a sidewalk scaffolding business in Switzerland, in Basel. And what they were doing, he was installing scaffolding on a sidewalk. And in Switzerland, there are lots of trams that are powered with electrical wire that are extended from one building to the next. And he accidentally drilled into one of the wires. And then he got a shock and he fell off the scaffolding and he actually passed out. He said he died, he went into the tunnel of light, and the hand came in and said to him, "You're not ready," and pushed him back into his body. And so when that happened, when she told me this, I thought to myself, "Oof, wow, for once, this actually, this thing is avoided." And then I paid no mind. We all both went about our business and all that. It must have been about 6 or 7 days later. She called me, and this time she was crying heavily. She said, "Pierre, I don't know what to say. I just want to tell you that what you perceive," sorry, my light went out. "What you perceive was correct. And I just don't know how else to tell you, but you were right." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She says, "Well, my mother has a sister who never got married, okay? And older, or in her late 50s now, she finally found somebody that she married. And I know her family because I even went to a birthday party with them in the Oberland. But she was not there. She said she's very isolated and she was not present there. That aunt was just recently married, and they were in their honeymoon on a lake in Switzerland. And a boat accidentally cut him in half. That's what I saw. There's nothing that can stop an woman. It wasn't her sister's husband or boyfriend. What I perceived was her. I remember I couldn't look at it. I kept saying it's connected to your mother, your sister, and then there is a partner, husband, boyfriend. I'm not sure exactly, but it was actually her mother's sister's husband who was going to die. That's an omen. And when it's bad news, there's nothing that you can do to stop it. Now, that's an example of a personal experience. You can also have omen and prediction that relate to group bodies. For example, the growth and the evolution of humanity. You could have experiences that are connected to that. Okay, and so it happens that for example, to give an example of another omen as well, I had a dream on September 5th, the morning of September 5th, that I was in an endless shaft. This is before 9/11. I was in an endless shaft and I was floating like 4 walls, and I was in it with another woman. I was floating up and down. And I felt like I was being held prisoner and I needed to escape. And every time I got to the wall, there were white marble tombstones on all the walls, right on stacked on top of each other with people's names. And I was trying to find a way to get out. We were being held prisoner by 2 men in kind of brownish, gray-brown robes with long beard. And we were trying to escape and figure out a way to get out. And finally, I pushed one of the stone, it pulled a lever, created an opening. Me and my partner, and whoever I was with, this female, we escaped. And when I got out, I floated out and I moved. We got outside and there was dust and debris everywhere. And some other being came to us and said, "Get out, get out, get out now." And I woke up from the dream. And I remember when I woke up, I knew this dream has nothing to do with me. I'm picking up something in the collective unconscious of humanity. This kind of dream is what I call a big dream. It is not a projection of my own internal struggle or spiritual psychology. It is not, a representation of an archetypical conflict or emotional conflict that's happening internally in me. This is something that connects to humanity. And that morning, that afternoon, I was leaving, and a 3 o'clock plane that was leaving to go to Rome. I was traveling to Italy for about a month, 2 weeks, it must have been 2 weeks. And I needed to get out. And I woke up in the morning, and I remember I said, I have to do dream work on this to try to figure out what this dream means. And I called my friend Patton that morning before I left, and I told her the dream, and she says, this is a big dream. This has to do with humanity. You have to do dream work. I said, I know, I have to. But I never did, because I was packing, I took everything. My toiletry bag was being made. I was making all the clothes were ironed, my passport, my ticket, all the things that you're worried about when you're about to travel. And then there was a car that was come to pick me up, to take me to Kennedy Airport. I did not do the dream work. And the dream literally went to the back of my mind. It was not until 9/11 exactly, where I'd been in Rome, I had gone shopping, I had bags of garment in my hand, and I came back to the hotel. I went into my room, there was a commotion in the lobby. And I didn't pay any attention. People were coming in and out of their room, and they were like talking to the concierge. I just went in. And then when I opened the TV as a routine thing, while putting the garments away, I saw something in Italian TV, and I saw a plane crash into one of the towers. And I remember thinking to myself, is this a Bruce Willis movie? What's going on? It's a Latin language, it's close to enough to French. I understand a couple of words here and there. I'm like, okay, let me go in the lobby and ask them. I said, I'm seeing something on TV right now. Is this true? They said, yes. We're having all of these people who are canceling their trips as we speak right now, who are supposed to be arriving at them, because the airports have been closed. All of the travel have been closed in the US because there's a time difference, right? And I'm like, what? And I have a friend that I was going to see in Rome, so that I called her immediately. I went back into the room, I called her. She said, Pierre, the video you're looking at now is actually delayed. It's from this morning, it's delayed video. Both towers are down. And the moment she said this, the dream came back. I realized that dream was an omen. I perceived what was going to happen because it was a future that was decided. Collectively, the collective unconscious of this country needed to learn a lesson. And that future was selected and decided. And there was nothing that anyone can do to actually stop this. Now, I have guilts. There are parts of me that wanted to, and that keeps thinking that if I should have gone in front of the building and tried to stop people, I should have canceled my plane and all that. But even if I had done all this, they would have arrested me as being a co-conspirator. They would have never believed that I had a psychic perception that these things was going to happen. They would have accused me of being involved in the planning and the execution of this. So I want to explain this to you because I want you to understand, particularly for us who are intuitive and sensitive, when you're sensing these things, you're not crazy, okay? Because a lot of time you're sensing things that are about to happen. And that may exist still as potential for manifestation. More like they're on the verge, they're just prediction for now. But at some point, particularly when you're dealing with the collective unconscious of humanity, when enough of us either act or do not act, one of the choices begin to collapse and focus. All of the choices begin to collapse and focus, and one of them gets selected as to what gets precipitated into the 3D. The wave function collapse happen, and at that point, it shows up in physical world. This is how we co-create. This is how we manifest. So what I'm telling you here about perceiving the future and us focusing and everything else, or intention and our action, and matching it with a choice, and making sure we move toward it. And as you do this, you begin to precipitate it. And there's a point of no return. The best way I can describe it, when I was a chemist, when I was studying chemistry, if you ever had done chemistry in the lab, if there are solutions when you put them together that are completely clear, and at some point during the chemical reaction, there is a cloudiness that gets created, and it begins to precipitate into the solution separate, and there's a solid at the bottom that manifests, and the rest is remain liquid. That process is the wave function collapse. And it requires choices, action, inaction, of you going in a certain direction, and then at some point, it begins to precipitate. And once the precipitate begins to fall, nothing can stop it. Nothing. It's a future that's decided. Any questions, any comments about this? The reason I'm talking to you about this is that you're all intuitive and psychic, and you may be aware of a certain kind of, like, it's not a conscious thing. It's a knowing uncomfortability that is at the edge of consciousness that begins to make, I know for me, it creates an unease, a point, and I've been talking about this for several weeks, if not a month now, that I am feeling a great unease, and it's causing me not to sleep completely well. It's at the edge there, and it's like circulating around, and I'm not falling asleep completely well. I'm not, you know, it's out there at the edge, at the perimeter, and it's causing me not to go deep. So I want you to understand this, and I want you to pay careful attention to your own state of consciousness. If you, in hindsight, you have 2020, and if any of you were in anything that resembles or that's kind of similar to this. And I know that this was the case for me. And what happened is that the early part of this morning, I had a dream. The beginning of the dream, and it may not be related to the environment that I'm going to describe to you, because a lot of time these environments are symbolic. The collective unconscious is simply selecting a vocabulary that I understand to show a certain level of vulnerability about something that's going to happen. I had a prediction. I saw something in the dream that I want to share with you. And I'm still struggling in how to share it with the rest of the group. I don't know how I'm going to say this yet. I have to sit with this in meditation tomorrow to try to figure out how to say it, or whether I should say it at all. This is the struggle I always have when I find something. I remember in the Matrix again, I love the Oracle, when the Oracle said to Neo, I hate to have to tell you this because you have a good soul, because I hate to give bad news to good people. So this is a struggle I'm always going about, trying to figure things out. So what I saw initially, it looked like I was with my family, but there was a big yard with multiple cars in it. And for whatever reason, there was a danger of some kind. And each one of us had a security detail, one security guard that was following us. And they were on their own car. There were lots of vehicles parked in a big kind of driveway or courtyard. And there are lots of cars there. And I remember one of them in a tiny little smart car, a black smart car, those tiny little smart car as a decoy is going to follow this person or that person or that. The next thing I saw in the dream is that I'm walking into what I think is Brooklyn in the dream. Again, as I said, it may not be Brooklyn. And I'm walking down the street, and suddenly I begin to hear this extremely loud siren, like ambulances and fire trucks, really loud. And not only loud, the crowd is running. So I'm on a street, and there's a perpendicular street avenue that goes away across, and it's very loud. So this is the street we're in, and this other street is there, and we're about to turn the corner, and I'm hearing all these ambulances and sirens and all this, and the fire trucks or the ambulances are so aggressive that they're going on top of cars and on top of sidewalk trying to move through. And I'm like, something is going on. What's going on? And I'm walking. It's my younger sister. So I'm walking, and as I turn the corner to look on the avenue, because the crowd is coming from there, going down. I turn around to look. I see a gigantic tsunami. I see what looks like maybe 200 feet at least of water, a wall of water that's coming. And at this point, I grabbed my younger sister and I said, move, let's go. And we crossed the street, and I'm trying to outrun whatever it is that's coming, going faster, trying to pass a point where, trying to escape it. And at some point, I realized the futility in what I'm trying to do. And I stood up, in the middle of the block, and I found this little pocket. It looked like a 5-foot setback in front of a building. It's not really a store. There's a woman there that looks Arabic or Muslim, because she was wearing a kind of like light gray clothing, and she has like I don't know exactly what she was selling, but she was selling something. And I ran with my sister inside that little pocket, because there were iron bars that were all along the side of the building, like window gates and et cetera, and I realized I could climb it. And I began to climb it, and I'm trying to help my sister and this woman. And there was a young man that was her son. I'm trying to help them to climb. And this kid was trying to close the gate for the merchandise. I said, don't worry about this. Let's go. We got to go up. We got to get higher. We got to get high ground. We got to get high. And I woke up from the dream. And right before I woke up, I realized that for over a month now, 2 times already, I saw in my dream something similar, and I blocked it out. And that's why I was not sleeping well. I blocked it out. And I don't know what's going to happen. What I can tell you is that it felt very similar to the 9/11 dream. I don't know where I'm going to take this. I don't know how I'm going to share this with the rest of the group. All I know is that the potential, high probability of a potential for tsunami somewhere on Earth within the next few days. That part I'm clear about. But do I have to be the person to say to everyone else, yet again, that the sky is falling. And that's what I'm navigating right now. But I wanted to explain how these things happen and the final point of manifestation, wave function collapse, prediction versus omen, and what's the difference, what the difference is between the two. When I have dreams like this, they are past prediction.
Pierre?
Yeah.
Do you think that that dream is an omen?
Yes.
Or is it, or you think it's an omen?
I think it's an omen, but again, I want to, okay, yes, I think it's an omen, but I want to say something about that even. And this is the second point of this whole class. And there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. We are faced for the next 2 to 3 years with these incredible, rapid, and dramatic changes that are going to happen collectively for all of humanity. A lot of it is highly uncomfortable. There's a financial crisis looming. There are all kinds of things. There's viruses. Look at what happened with all the tornadoes that touched down in the Midwest. What I'm saying is that people are going to get hurt and we're going to lose life, and it's going to be terrifying. For whatever reason, I was talking to Georgie this morning about this, and he reminded me that his teacher in India, Amak Romaya, had said to them in 2019, and she was crying when she said this. She says, there's going to be all these horrible things that are going to come, and my children are going to die. And mother, meaning her, cannot do anything to help them. And because of this sense then, she's starting to do these daily prayers, and she has not stopped.
Mm-hmm.
She started to do, she said, there are certain things that happen because they are cosmic and they have to occur for the collective of humanity to grow and evolve. But how they touch down will be different.
Yes.
If you're in a state, if you're asking for mercy.
That was going to be my next suggestion.
Okay?
If
you're asking for mercy. And so the idea is to be in constant prayer. And Georgie was a follower of this teacher. He gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is how much him and all of the followers of this teacher, they believe this to be true. And they've been praying now. I know since COVID started, they've been praying nonstop. They're saying all the mantra, it takes sometimes 2 hours to do this, 2 hours. They're doing it.
Pierre, I have a question. Actually, to your point, I was just thinking last weekend, because I've been, I have sent your predictions to some of my friends and people that I know. And sometimes for some people, it's a lot to take.
Yep.
So I realize what might be helpful for me to share it, to share it further on social media and with friends. This is just a question. I don't know if that's appropriate or not. Just isolate that that second prayer, and maybe just like have if you could have like a separate post on Facebook, for example, that would say that this prayer will help to elevate or a little bit with, if we say this prayer daily, more of us, then it will help to elevate a little bit the
Elevate the planet or humanity?
hold on one second. It will help to elevate, whatever we are experiencing, whether just have that by itself. I wonder if that's possible.
I am thinking about that. That's a possibility that I went through today in my meditation. I'm also probably will not do just one prayer. I will include multiple prayers because I've been channeling all these prayers since the beginning of COVID. I've had channeled like 3 or 4 prayers that I would include as also part of thing, as an array of things that needs to be said. But I have to also point out to people that what I'm talking about, which is this future thing, and the present, and the wave function collapse and how it occurs, and that if it's still a prediction and it has not been an omen yet, how it touched down will be determined by the degree to which you are aligned and you're willing to let the universe guide you and give you safe passage.
Right. Yes, I totally agree with that part, and I'm finding more people can resonate with that easier,
Yep.
And so, like, because I think will be helpful to stress that, to say these prayers as a in group more, that is like, I think people would be helpful, have guidance, like say this prayer every day if you can, right? Or say it a few times a week, right? And the more of us say it, there is this cumulative impact and effect.
Yeah.
So kind of like telling people a little more like you telling us now in detail.
Yeah.
That these are the steps, and that will be helpful.
Yeah.
So there was one thing that kind of the feedback that I got from talking to people
Yeah.
and trying to share it. And then, like, maybe I just have a quick question, if you don't mind, before
Sure.
we leave the subject. I was curious that in your dreams, it seems like you were part of the dream, as if you were there,
Yep.
right? But then ultimately you were far from it. Like you were in Italy, you were not even in New York City, you were nowhere near the
Yep.
experience. Like, so I wonder how significant, if there is a difference of significance whether you are in it and close to it, or how you might find yourself impacted directly, or just from a distance.
I don't know with this particular dream. I have not done enough analysis on the dream. I am trying to detach to it because right now, when I woke up this morning, I was in a state of shock. Okay.
Right.
It's too close right now. I'm not neutral to it yet to actually be able to tell you this. But that could change. Okay, that could change within a few hours or by tomorrow. But I'm processing this, and I'm telling you, I'm sharing this with you because I think there's great value and insight, because you're my advanced student. You've been with me for a long time, and I'm trying to get you, because it may be that you as well, you end up having these kind of experiences and you poo-poo them, and when they happen, and then you get shocked and surprised, I can't believe that this occurred. And then what happened is that when you actually see something like this and you don't say it and you don't help people, you begin to feel guilty.
Yeah.
You begin to feel a sense of missed opportunity and responsibility, that God gave you a duty that you dropped the ball.
Yeah, you want to share it, and for sure. But at the same time, like for example, the 9/11, the dream was like as if you were in it, but it turned out you were nowhere near it. So just because if I happen to see something, doesn't mean that I'll be immediately impacted personally.
No. Because this is the reason why when I started out, I said I saw Brooklyn. It doesn't mean this is where it's going to happen.
Right.
This is where my collective unconscious is using things that I know to tell me what was going to happen.
Yeah. That's good to know, because you might find yourself there, but you might not. So there's no need like to be scared that, oh, I'm gonna be in it.
No, that's not. I'm not even interpreting it this way. No.
No, I know you're not. I'm just clarifying for myself.
Yes.
Okay.
And the prayers are important, and I'm going to add to the prayer part, because the biggest problem, two things. There was a survey I was reading online about very recently. They were asking the Generation Z, the 2000 babies, the one that are now 19 or in their 20s. They were asking them about the future of this country, of America. All of them believe that there's going to be a civil war. All of them believe that one or two states will separate from the United States. These are part of the prediction that going back 6-7 years, that the Galactic Region Council was saying that countries and alliances and all that will break apart. And they are basically saying that and this is why these conversations or these predictions, when you send them out, they read them, but they are scared, because you are confirming something deep in their core they know to be true. But they don't know what to do about it. They have no guidance beyond that point. Now, the fact that the Galactic Region Council gave us these predictions and then gave us those two prayers behind it is telling me that they're trying to guide us into a prayer preparation, a prayer correction, a prayer and healing amelioration, to make sure that the touchdown for this event is soft. So what I'm saying is that I would want, and the second issue for the Generation Z and all these young kids, they don't believe in prayers. They don't pray. Okay?
Yeah, that's why I felt like that second pair more neutral.
Yes.
Some people, they're more likely to pick that up than.
This is the reason why the Galactic Region Council channel it.
Yeah, so might be good to like just have that maybe as I don't know if you could do it as a separate post, because it might be more.
I'm definitely going to do a post about this, but I have, again, as I said, I don't know what I'm going to say. I have no idea. I'm just working through my consciousness what's right, because again, I have to carefully. It has to channel. It has to come from the right place, and I have to make sure that, because the other fear I have, I don't want to be accused yet again of fear mongering.
Yeah.
But I don't want not to warn people, to let them know that this is a possibility.
Pierre, it was just to your point, I quite accidentally came across a Facebook page with, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton,
Yep.
and Joe Dispenza. They have actually a web page, and it showed up. So I chose to join, and they just approved it. And what they have as a feature is that they're doing a group prayer. So right now there is a post that they're doing this Monday, the 13th of December at 8 p.m. They're doing like a group prayer about love and sending meditation about love and things like that. And actually, it says here that they doing like it together. There's like, they have like 60,000 members.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they expect him to do it as a group body, like the 60,000 members. So like looks like they're getting the same message that you were just talking about group prayers.
Yep. And in somebody like Amma, her things are very Hindu oriented and they're very specific and very religious. In that sense, it might not be attractive for some, except if you're a follower of that belief system, right? But the prayers that I have channeled are more like the one that the Galactic Region Council, and I will put something together. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but something is going to come from this. I'm still sorting this out for myself. This is still raw for me. This is still vulnerable for me. I'm still sorting this out, and I'm trying to, guide you along the way and take you along this journey to demonstrate to you what's happening. I can't. I don't know. As I said, I don't know where, but I know it's imminent. And maybe the where will show up if I'm neutral enough. As the Oracle says, right now, I am not willing to accept this.
Right.
And because I'm not willing to accept this, I cannot see it. Not completely, not clearly. And again, this is where neutrality comes in. To the degree that you're neutral, to the degree you will get more detail, you will get more information.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good. I'll pass it along. Once you put it out, I'll pass it along.
Not a problem, not a problem. Any questions, any comments coming from the rest of the group? The issue with the Generation Z children, young adults, is that the church has done such a horrible job because of abuse, because of, fire and brimstone and all the typical dogma that, of course, these younger generation intuitively in their soul, because they are more elevated soul, they understand this not to be true. They are not at all interested in any God concept. Because to them, when you say God, it's dogma, it's church, it's suffocating. They don't want to have anything to do with it. And therefore, they don't practice any kind of prayerful connection to a higher power. Some of them may or more be into crystals and meditation. What I want to say here is important. If meditation is listening to God, prayers is talking to God. And a good spiritual practice must include both. So to the people of that generation, and even the millennial, the 2000 kids, the 30-something kids, what they are more interested in is maybe meditation, maybe their version of what God. It's not that they don't have a higher power. Their concept of a higher power is different. They don't see a supreme being the way church-going people see one supreme being. They rather see a collective, or they might see force of nature, they might see source, they might see Gaia, they might see, they perceive it very differently. So if we are going to engage them in some ways and have them participate into this process, because this is going to go, at least for the next 3 years, is going to be very rough. And if this is the case, we need to engage them in the process, because the more soul and the more people are praying and asking for blessings, grace, and mercy, and asking for divine compassion, the more that we will be guided into the lending for these things will be soft. And more to the point, to the people who are praying, to the people who are in prayer, to the people who are asking. Because here's the thing with prayers. When you're praying, you have to humble yourself. You have to realize, and this is this is the thing that a lot of these people, human beings who are control freaks, cannot do. For you to really pray, you have to realize that you have lost control and that you're no longer in charge. And you have to humble yourself that whatever it is that you're experiencing, I don't know how to stop a tsunami. I don't have that kind of knowledge. I don't have that kind of power. I'm powerless against this. The only thing I can do is to pray and ask God for help. This is beyond my pay grade. And thus I have to humble myself and say, take this cup away from me. I don't know how to do this. I'm seeing this coming. If this is true, it's going to kill a lot of people. Have mercy. Intercede in our behalf, Divine Mother. Have mercy. And for you to do that, you have to acknowledge your disempowerment and your vulnerability. Many people think that they can, and this is where, that if they move to this place, if they go there, if they, there's going to be a safe place. Like if I were to move to this location, and a lot of them are moving, they're moving all around, all across the country, all across the world. If I go to this location, I know people who have the means who are living in other countries right now. They think that by going to other countries, I saw a post very recently of this spiritual teacher who was getting out of the country because he thinks that if he moves somewhere else, he's going to be safe. There are no safe places, but there are safe people. And the safe people, the safety for these people is created by the way where they hold their consciousness. And if you're not praying now, you should be praying. In addition to the prayer, there is also this mantra that Georgie had sent recently to the group on WhatsApp that I'm going to also connect somehow into this, because I've been saying this mantra twice a day. I've been repeating it twice a day, and it has made a dramatic difference for me. And it's a prayer to Droga, to create, which is it's the cosmic womb. It's a representation of Shiva, or all these deities, it's a feminine energy. And it's to remove internal darkness and evil and external darkness and evil. And one of the things that George, sometimes I call him, I text him, he's not available until 2 hours later, it's because he's saying these mantras. They have this group, online group. Here's the thing also with these prayers. The best way to actually do this is to actually do online Zoom events. because then you keep people accountable. If you tell them, I want you to repeat this, blah, 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 they're gonna go do something else. They will start intentionally wanting to do it, and they will not be able to continue with it. But if you keep doing, let's say, every day at 6 o'clock or at 7 p.m. or at 9 p.m. for an hour, we're gonna get together and we're gonna do this. If you do it this way, everyone will do it. They will join you. And this is what one of the things, because I know a lot of praying people who are actually tuning in all the time into these group prayers to find the community, so that they are not alone in their room saying it, but to get the community. And it creates a group body. It allows for elevation of consciousness that's completely different. So something akin to that needs to also manifest and be created for us. Again, I'm thinking as this is stream of consciousness. I'm not editing anything. I'm just saying what I feel in my heart is showing up. So I know that when you give people responsibility to do this, short-term prayer is okay. Like if you can say a prayer for somebody for 7 days, and people can actually commit to that. But if you're asking, like this teacher from India, she's been doing this for months now, a year, almost 2 years now. So she has certain prayers that she says online in the group, and there are certain prayers that are too exotic and too high level that you can't. Zoom is such an open platform. There are certain things you can't put on it, and there are certain parts that she will not do. She's doing it only in India with the people that are there.
Pierre, did you say you're doing the Durga mantra or the healing mantra?
The Durga mantra.
The Durga, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The Durga, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It has made a dramatic difference for me. And I should put also that when and she said it in one of the last council meeting when what's her name, Marilyn had COVID, and she was in the hospital and oxygen level was in the 80s and could not go up. She was maintaining, she was in that border, she was not getting worse, but she couldn't improve because there are people who go down to 60, right? She was not getting down there, she was there, but she couldn't pass and go into 90s. The moment she listened to the mantra and tried to do it while she was in the hospital in the room alone, the doctors came back and they said, what are you doing? She said, I'm meditating. They said, keep doing it. It's 94. It keep increasing. It's now 97.
Was she doing the Dura or was she doing
Yes,
the healing?
she was doing it. She was doing the mantra.
The same one?
Yes.
So, because I know the healing one was very effective when I did it for my mother, but after she died, but I think this one is maybe more effective.
This is very specific. It's also very specific to illness. It also cures, it helps for illness as well.
The Dorna.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments that any of you may have?
Just to maybe, I know it's intuitive, but would it, okay, let me put it this way. Would you do like the St. Michael spray and the Durma mantra at the same time? Are they mutually exclusive?
I don't see why you couldn't do it. I have to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
You don't do it. I wouldn't do them back to back.
Right. Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
But I could do it on the same day.
The same day. Yeah. I hear you. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Oh. All right, let's take a 5-minute break. And on the back end, we'll do a closing meditation. 5 minutes.
Pierre,
Yep.
just a reminder, today is the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Thank you.
And this is, and this is the miracle that is still active. And she was named the patron of America. And when I say the miracle is still active, that means the is it tila they call it, the tila that the Indian boy was wearing, where the image was imprinted into. They're still discovering a lot of activity on that picture up to today. So I just wanted to mention that, so that we're aware of that energy that is so positive. Okay. Thank you.
And today's a special day as well. It's 12/12/21.
Wow. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that creates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your head and your mind sync with each other. I release all attachments fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all my fears of events, circumstances, conditions that are outside of my pay grade. I release all control. It is not my responsibility to fix, repair, or do anything. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Lord, demonstrate to me your peace. Teach me how to find the courage to drop my sword and embrace your love. Help me restore balance and neutrality in my consciousness. My heart and my mind. Make me understand that we are all one. Help me find a way to negotiate truce and find reconciliation. Give me the insight, wisdom, and tolerance to sit at a table with all men, women, animal, and species, knowing that they are my equal friend and partner. In this great and holy path of return. Give me your penetrating wisdom that I may accept that I know nothing. For I am just a man, learning how to become divine. Lord, be in front of me, behind me, at my sides, and in me. May all my actions, reactions, emotional responses, and thoughts be consumed by your balance and equanimity. Help me find the path of forgiveness, mercy, compassion, and understanding. as I witness the terrifying global events that are happening as the planet transitions into the new earth. Lord, do not forsake me. Help me remain focused on finding your presence show me how to release the fears that these events are creating and let me move into surrendering my faith, life, and future to you. You are my rest and solace. Unburden me and let me find your peace. Although I do not understand why the world is moving through these changes, I know that I am safe as long as you are with me. Show me how to observe with empathy the turbulences created by the global change and transformation. But give me the detachment to remain outside of emotional reactivity. Help my emotional body understand that these triggers are opportunities for me to evolve, grow, and expand. into a more divine version of me. Instead of emotionally unraveling, help me choose a different and emerging awareness that the chaos is a doorway into higher consciousness. If I can stop panicking and remain in your rest and calm, the turbulence will change into an insight. Knowing and breakthrough that will move me closer to you and the path toward the new earth. As I move through these experiences, Lord, do not take the lessons away from me. Rather, give me the wisdom to learn them quickly that I may never have to repeat them again. Help me accept that every challenge is a transformational gift that will bring me closer to you, your kingdom, your peace. And serenity. Through these tests, I will change and transmute into the letting go of the 3D and my acceptance as a higher dimensional being. Help me see that the chaos is the crucible of purification for my consciousness to merge with you. Give me safe passage into the new earth. Let every part of my consciousness, cell, DNA, and atom of my body surrender to your peace, serenity, and rest. That I may be reborn as the phoenix rising into my body of light. May this restorative and resurrected healing into my light body. Let me become the generator and broadcaster of your peace, generosity, love, and repair to everyone in my circle of influence. Let me demonstrate your light to the world. Lord, help me find liberation. On the dangerous path of transition and Bardo into the new earth, help me find your peace, serenity, and neutrality. I am besieged by visceral, loud, and overwhelming fear reactions to external circumstances. Show me how to let them go. I feel afraid, vulnerable, and alone. I humbly surrender all these burdens, this empowerment into you. It is not my responsibility to fix, do, or control anything. Lead me into your rest and stillness. For I am but a body of unconscious tendencies in your emptiness. Empty me out of all identities, desires, and attachments. Help me find the emerging and endless gifts, knowing and awareness that occupy your countenance. The incomprehensible, infinite, and co-creative light and luminosity that exists in you. Help me find safe passage into the blessings of the new earth. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I completely surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Emancipate me into a complete merger with you. Help me find my liberation. And may the peace, serenity, and freedom that I know pass on to everyone in my circle of influence. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. How you all feeling?
Good. Thank you, Pierre.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. Thank you for being on the call tonight. Deep gratitude and appreciation for all of you. And I will talk to you next week. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.